Hello and welcome to Follow Everton. Look at that, Blues. We won. Is it a shock? No. We were definitely not expect. We were getting very used to a lackluster, uninspiring performance for this current Everton squad. It was a response. I was hoping for one. I think we got it. We may get Wes joining us here a little bit. We may also get Stevie or Ryan jumping in a little bit later. Potentially a longer show coming in, but while I'm still got a little bit of energy left, I'm going to do a quick show here on my own. I'll react on the comments as we go through, so definitely interact there. But at least giving my 10 cents, however many cents I want to give on it. But in short, almost off the bat, we had a control and dominance that I didn't. I guess we know that Fulham are struggling to score too, but I was surprised they didn't test where I thought James Garner at right back. We basically, because they couldn't press us on that left side, it allowed the likes of James Garner to have quite a bit of an influence today. Mr. Blue Skies is probably on the same page as me. A well-deserved win. Played well for most of the game. The only thing we didn't do very well is figure out how to stay on side. Now, there's a whole lot of offside and goal scoring conversations to go to there, but we'll try and build a little bit of chronology to it. Like I was thinking, the first 10 minutes, we basically had them penned in. We had the Barry header opportunity that he slightly basically muffed, and on the commentary that I was listening to, Berbatov was giving him all sorts of flack. And we were basically testing the midfield, which was with primarily Lukic here. So Peter Duggan basically asking about that one there. Basically we were cutting through the middle, and they were having to take professional yellow cards to try and pull us back. The one that just before halftime, when I saw that, my honest opinion was Dewsbury Hall fell over way too easy and was trying to con the ref into a second yellow. And because of it, I think he just gave the referee enough reason to not give it, because he made it too obvious that he was trying to coin the ref for that call. But right around halftime, which was okay, so we talked about the Barry miss, a header from very close range. James Garner had, I think it was 2 free kicks in that first half. His first one from sort of maybe it was 20 out. Yeah, and we're gonna have a disagreement on it. It just on the replay in particular, he seemed to fall over very theatrically, and I think that's what drove it. The free kick was well struck, quite powerful, and went over the wall to the left side and parried out. So James Garner is starting to more consistently be a menace on free kicks. He's been scoring from outside the box this season, or causing a lot of issues where he strikes and it's going to the goalkeeper's right hand side, often quite low, and it was again quite dangerous there. Throughout that half, the only time I think Fulham had any opportunity was when we had Mikalenko or James Garner pressing higher up the pitch, and they were trying to catch us out of position. But primarily, even the likes of Tarkovsky and Michael Keane seemed very comfortable. They did not have the pace to break through us. There was a couple scrappy opportunities, but they weren't able to strike on target. And I think that included the likes of Iwobi and Raul Jimenez. Just really wasn't going to break in through either. So while I'm talking here, James Graham making the comment, improved from previous games, could have been 4. Absolutely. I think that's what I'm going to get to here in a moment. And I'm probably going to forget some of these because there was so many offside opportunities. One of them, and if Ryan does a show later, he will definitely go back to this, and that's going to be a second half conversation. But there was the goal that Tiana Barry scored that was disallowed. And whenever we have Stevie going to be coming in live, if you need me to add you in, Steve, just let me know. If not, add yourself in whenever. He's just coming out of the ground now. But the offside, that first offside, unfortunately, Barry, it wasn't Barry. It was Njai in an offside position potentially. But there was a few scenarios throughout this match where and it happened to Njai actually more than I was expecting from him. If you're the furthest away from the ball, you have a full line on view of the defense from the opposition's defense and where you should be positioning. And we got caught out a few times getting a bit too excited and trying to break through the line. It's a positive that we're willing to do that. And yes, we're going to go into, we'll talk about the second half one because the Kiernan Dewsbury Hall offside. Yeah, we want to jump in, Steve? I'll add you in.
Yep. Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're coming through good.
Yeah, good. Okay. Nice to see you, Chris. It feels good. 3:00 kickoff, 2-0 win. We've had the ball in the net 5 times. I don't know how offside the first 2 were, but at the end of the day, today was how you expect, and you want a game to go. The performance overall was superb, I thought. There was a period where Fulham got back into the game in the first half of the second half. Somewhat to be expected. I felt that once Roll came on, Everton just raised the bar a little bit more. They got the second goal that they really needed. Certainly I needed in order to be able to escape and get the train back from Lime Street. But overall, this was a game where the crowd were vocal. The team gave the spirit, the performance that we expect with the added quality of keeping possession, particularly at the start of the game, which really dictated this match as much as anything, Chris.
Yeah, and a big difference for me, and I'll switch gears really quickly here, but firstly, to your point, part of us boxing them in was actually having the likes of Garner Gay and Eric Boonham, who both like to press and play high, having a huge influence. But another component, which I think needs to be addressed, was he may not have scored today, but he made a huge impact on this match, chased, battled, and that is Tiano Barry. There was a standing ovation moment later on in the match for his effort that I think it was really appreciated to show his drive today. And did you notice that in the match as well?
I think the fans really appreciated that he gave everything today. I mean, he's done that in a lot of games, but today he just looked a little bit sharper. He's still so far from the finished product. But I think fans just really want him to get a break because it feels like maybe once he gets a bit of confidence going, he could be the maker of a better player than has been made out right now. But certainly led the line well, supported excellently in midfield by the likes of Dewsbury Hall, who I would like to single out as being quite outstanding, if you're asking me. Gay was also really, really good and also did well to get his goal, which, to be honest, was a relief at the time. And I don't know how long I'll stay, so if I'm flying through a few comments, you'll have to excuse me. But basically, I think that one of the key things that helped Everton shape today was the move that a lot of fans have been asking for some time. And that was to maybe move a steady O'Brien out and put Garner in there to give the team more balance. And I think that it did show when Everton felt like at times they had more possession because they had more ball playing players and they could push up a little bit more, knowing that Garner was not just a right back, but somebody who possesses real quality. We've seen that from his free kicks and from his deliveries. So I think Everton's shape set them up to be able to be better overall, which makes pretty much everyone. But even with the shape, it seemed like most of our players gave 10 out of 10 for effort, whereas previous games maybe have varied between a 6 and an 8 at times and not always gone, well, let's just be up for this. But at the end of the day, league position started to tell, and positioning down in 15th, 16th, you can easily get dragged into the wrong end of the table. So this game wasn't must win, but it felt like it wasn't. We couldn't afford to lose this one in some respects after that Spurs game. So it was a difficult game to go into. I mean, what do you think about the Garner move at the beginning? I know that we're segueing slightly from Barry, who did play well,
right?
And if he got a goal, everyone would have said he's got a great game.
So the James Garner thing, I think it worked today. And a lot of that is to do with the fact that I don't think they were that menacing on the left side, which allowed a lot of times James Garner to be an inverted midfielder and just have a free roam. And basically we had a vacancy at right back and he didn't have to be as accountable defensively. At times he absolutely came back and did his tracking, no doubt, but he was quite free to roam up, to take set pieces, and Dewsbury Hall would do a job coming back and covering it right back, and it worked. But if you're playing a high level opposition, that might be risky to have Dewsbury Hall covering for Ghana doing roaming missions in that position. But it worked today against an opposition that didn't really have a weapon on that left side. Granted, that changed a little bit once they brought King in at halftime and they tried to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah, of course, the substitutes really helped them, but at the end of the day, as you say, spot on, you won't be able to do that every game. You won't be able to do what we did. But credit to Moyes for, and we assume that his hand wasn't forced, at least trying that move that a lot of fans have wanted. And it would be hard to change this team again now because we've put in a really good performance. But what we need is some consistency now. That was the second win in, I think, 9. And before this, just 1 in 8. And that's not good enough form, really.
No.
So what we need is consistency. I think that he's got to take every game as it comes. And we've got some big fixtures coming. With respect to some of the teams that have come, we've not played the biggest teams yet at the Hill Dickinson, yet the atmosphere was good today. So I really look forward to seeing what it's going to be like. It's a completely different thing when you're coming out of the game and you've been emotionally attached to it and you're with the fans and it's like an aura around the ground. The whole atmosphere, the whole performance. And sometimes you don't get the chance to do what you're doing and kind of looking at the same analysis because you get so intertwined with what's going on, missing all of the things that you probably don't see on the cameras. But I'd love to know from you, Chris, whether how offside those were and were they really clear cut? Because there were a lot of people getting a bit anxious. 3 offside goals in a game. How offside
so the Dewsbury
were they?
Hall one, to me is really confusing because they showed it on replay and it didn't look offside. But then I think there was some conversation that Barry may have influenced the play just by existing, but he was also pushed by one of the Fulham players. So if someone pushes you into an offside position, that's either a penalty or don't include it as an offside. And they decided to kind of just accept that as reality. The VAR check just got rushed. The other ones, I think the one with the Barry and Jai, the first one, was an offside. And then the one that Tarkovsky scored, I think, was also an offside on the knockback. And there was one other one, which is crazy. You think, wait a second, I forgot the 4th offside goal disallowed. That's the kind of game we had. We just couldn't get it in the back of the net.
Yeah, I know. It felt like a lot of the crowd didn't know quite whether they were offside or not, but we've had to accept this. Look, fair credit, they made decisions quickly. Well, within a reasonable amount of time. Now against Spurs, which was a very painful game, one in which I'm still trying to get over emotionally, because it's one where I took some family members for the first time. I thought that the offside decision, the VAR decision, took far too long, and that's what really frustrates. But there would be much more excitement if they had the Wenger rule, where certain leniency is given, and it favours more goals and more attacking play. Certainly would be more exciting. But overall, we can't complain because we got the points in the end. But it's obviously frustrating that we've had the ball in the net so many times, because if we'd come out 5-0 today, you would have gone, yeah, they played excellent today. I don't think Fulham would have probably gone, nah, they were lucky. I think they would have gone, yeah, maybe, because Fulham showed nothing here in this game, really. But then maybe that was because Everton were good. And I think we saw that with Tottenham. Tottenham were very good against us. And we probably didn't give them as much credit as we deserve. We looked at it through sort of blue tinted lenses. But today, Fulham didn't play better than us, and they didn't deserve anything from the game.
No,
so finally, it was Fulham, a game where you could say we deserve this.
But you also say I'm not exactly sure what happened, but we have to count ourselves lucky when Fulham can't score to save themselves like us, and then what you all of a sudden have is the likes of Muniz comes on, injures himself, and gets subbed back off again. To me, that's wild and lucky for us, but a shame for Fulham, right? Their second striker comes on, and they didn't even have a starting striker for the last 10, 15 minutes. So we were 1-0 up. then we get this very, credit to Keane for being in the right spot, but let's call it a trapezoid goal. I had a bad feeling they were going to call that and disallow it for handball, but it was like there was no reasonable way they could call that a handball. But you're up 2-0 with like 10 minutes to go, 6 minutes of extra time, and they didn't even have a striker on the pitch. So if you talk about a nice, comfortable result, I don't think we could have been more fortunate in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, it sums it all the fact that I left with a few minutes before the end, because I very rarely ever leave before the end. Which brings me to the note of I'm going to leave you guys to have your round robin, because I believe that that Basil's here, and I'll just leave you to say, well, I was very pleased overall, and it takes a lot for us to come out and say that. So goodbye for now, and I'm off to London.
Cool. Well, safe travels back. And Basil, are you here from a helicopter? Are you? You look like you. The camera's vibrating.
Hello, just flying over Bramley Moor. We're just flying over the stadium now. Cockpit control.
Ryan looks so impressed with your joke. The network might be a little bit rough, so if Basil cuts out, I may interject for the
What's
moment.
he doing?
So
Get rid of the Wi-Fi.
So, all right, Basil. So,
Where's?
where were you relative to? Were you able to see the goals, or where were you on the pitch relative, or in the stadium relative to the goals that were scored? All right, might be some network there, but what I will say is it was so hard for Everton just to get it in the net today. We'll talk to Merlin Roll. I was really excited to see him. I know I made the graphic before with focusing on him. So, but that first goal, Basil, were you able to see that close up? The first goal?
Where was Baz?
The Ghana Gay's actual allowed goal.
Yeah, that one.
Because remember, we had about 4 goals today, but half of them were ruled out. Yeah,
exactly.
It was on the other side of the pitch, but I could see it. Yeah, Ghana Gay. He was really good today, like popping up in little overload positions.
Yep.
And that's quite hard to mark. And he obviously got involved there. He got high up in the box, and he just found the right moment. It's gonna take that sort of overload to get men in the box, get them around the box. Something will drop. And eventually, we got goal.
Yeah, and what was interesting for it, and yes, numbers in the box, absolutely. It was Tim-Eric Boonham. He kind of found a way to almost to try to not score, right? But he fed Mykolenko. He had a well-weighted cross the back post. I think it was either Michael Keane or Tarkovsky wins the header. It beats Leno, goes off the bar. It's a scramble. Eric Boonham takes a swing and miss, basically goes off his back foot, and Ghana Gay's there to knock it in. So credit in the build-up and being in the right spot for Eric Boonham, winning the header at the back post and hitting the target, may not be in, but hitting the target off the back post. A Mykolenko well-weighted cross. We've been giving him flack for a long time for poor delivery. It was well-weighted. And Idrissa Gana Gay for having the instincts that we know he has from time to time to be in those positions and score. He scored against Liverpool. He scored 2. Michael Keane scored 2. So they're above Beto and a lot of our forward players right now in terms of goals scored.
Yeah, 2 more goals than Barry so far. Yeah, I was giving Mykolenko a bit of, I was a bit harsh on him in that first 30 minutes. He didn't really do a lot, but then Grealish seems really reluctant to use him to actually feed him. He had so much space. Obviously doesn't think he's going to deliver a good ball, but to his credit, that ball was really good ball, stood up, and it created the goal along with a couple of flick on.
Yeah, so you're gonna probably have a bit of a mixture on what Barry's influence was today. I think a big part of it actually was if you're able to hit the ball on the channels, he may not always win everything, but his battle with I think it's Bassi, especially in that first half, there was a lot going into that channel and holding the ball up or making it competitive in that position on the field allowed the Everton squad to basically come into position and help press the ball into that side. So instead of it simply being hit the ball up to better at the halfway line and kind of argy-bargy, maybe you lose the ball, it was a little bit more a more tactful delivery. And Keenan Dewsbury Hall was actually doing a lot of well-timed runs with Barry and testing. It didn't always work out, but what it did is it made the center halves a little bit on edge, and it allowed Everton to basically box them in a lot more than what would otherwise happen. So I think it was partly the delivery, but I think today you saw it's more than just chasing. It was well weighted and well timed generally, but you run the risk of a lot of offsides, and we did see that where they weren't perfectly timed runs the whole time, but we're committing to that aggressive nature of down the channels that we know Moyes likes to do with the strikers.
Yeah, it just broke up a sec, so I didn't catch everything you said, but I agree with quite a lot of what I heard. Dewsbury Hall got a lot closer.
Yeah.
Dewsbury Hall got a lot closer, Barry. I think he wasn't so isolated, but I do feel like there's something in Barry when it comes to his hold-up play, and he's a little bit more flexible and better. He can turn a little bit.
That evolves into a tree branch.
Well, it's a little bit different.
If he keeps playing the way he's playing, he'll become a tree trunk. Or maybe blossom.
The gifted analogies of the driver who's paying attention to the road next to Basil there. So effectively, and to the point that I think Ryan's saying in the background, the Beto in particular with his frame, when he's blocking or doing the hold up play, he's a little bit more stationary, and Barry a little bit slighter of frame. Likes to turn on a dime and basically be running immediately. And it worked today. There was a few really well-weighted chest passes, actually, where it was a long ball to Barry and he did a one-touch. I think it was to Dewsbury Hall. And they had very quick movement. It was really nice to see. And we can see then that Barry wants to move it quick. He doesn't delay on a hold-up play. So if you're truly saying, hey, we're under the cosh, it's 10 men behind the ball and a sacrificial lamb up front, then you'd probably take Beto just because he'll slow it down and take two defenders with him. But if you're really trying to quickly move and get the ball going, I think we know that Barry's the answer right now.
Yeah, I think he's a lot better for the side in terms of the build-up play that we're trying to be more possession-based. I think he links play. He's a bit quicker.
Yep.
He's a bit sharper off winning the ball. Beto can be a bit, as you said, he's a bigger frame, so he ends up in a bit more of a rough battle with the defender, and sometimes that can work quite well when he's chasing him behind and stuff. Barry tends to sometimes he overdoes his touch, or he just overdoes. There was one where he got down the
left-hand side. It's like he said too much creatine and he can't calm down on the ball.
Yeah, he just calmed a little bit. Like, he obviously has the ability to do things. He's just not got the refinement.
Yeah, and in a technical aspect, which James Graham's saying, I completely agree. You can see pretty comfortably his first touch and instinct of where to go after he touches. That pass and move nature is a lot more natural and fluent with him. Yeah, so we've talked. I think the final piece for the struggle. You go ahead.
I was just gonna say it helps that we're playing at home and that we had control of the ball for large periods of the game, and the midfielders played higher up the pitch, closer to Barry. He wasn't caught isolated up where we were sitting back for 20, 30 yards deeper than him. So I think we linked the play better. That helped him to be in the game and to press as a team.
Yeah. So what you're saying there actually ties in what I was saying to Steve before, that the other component, James Garner, on a match like today, Fulham, that can be dangerous, but they felt a little bit toothless going forward. So what that allowed is James Garner to actually invert, come through the middle a lot more, and help us control that midfield and box them in. We may not, against better opposition and unfortunately, after years of Man United not doing that well, they have been on a relatively good run of late, and I think we're playing them next away. So I wonder if we will have the same type of setup, or will we see that same further up the pitch interplay with Barry on a match away from home where we've had a tough record generally away at United. Maybe it's a different kind of game. But today it worked against Fulham. Not sure if Basil's losing me here, but whenever you can hear me back, Basil, feel free to jump in.
I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead. So I was saying, do you think
you were
that
talking
against
about the
Man
Man U
United?
game. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Cool.
Yeah. Whether it will be effective. Yeah. I don't know. I do think James Garner proved today how much of a good quality technical footballer he is. You know, he's a really intelligent footballer. Well, it doesn't matter where he plays, and he's good. He's fairly good defensively as well. He doesn't give up huge amounts. There was one he got beaten on
You'd
one
say he's
occasion
quite
by
dogged
the
and
winger.
aggressive on the second. If he has to go back and chase or keep the ball up high up on the pitch, because he often ends up by the left corner flag taking set pieces. So he was very committed high up the pitch with sliding tackles and everything else before he went back into his position at right back. So battling all over the pitch, and I think he has turned a corner for Everton this season, no doubt. Sometimes what's funny is I think he's almost better, more influential at right back than central midfield, unless he's dropping deep and allowing Garner Gay and Dewsbury Hall to play more advanced.
Yeah, he's. I think also it's emphasized by the fact that Jake O'Brien doesn't offer huge amounts at right back, so when he gets moved there, it looks like a world of difference, which obviously it is, and he plays really clever balls down the line and stuff. I didn't think Ndai was quite as effective though in the game, and I was wondering whether that was down to their link up or lack of partnership on the right hand side or what that was, but he just didn't seem to get the opportunities to cut in and dribble at players in the same way.
Yeah, the other thing, yeah, and I definitely noticed that too, that it wasn't Njai's best game. He certainly, he could have easily got an assist from that for the Keenan Dewsbury Hall goal, but he wasn't as involved. And I think part of it maybe was that Barry was going into that position a lot down that right side, and then all of a sudden you were kind of they were in each other's way a little bit more. So it may have been that, but you're right, James Garner. Yeah. Partly because he's not a natural right back, he's got to charge to the middle, and if he's inverting, then he doesn't really have an overlapping run or someone to positionally cover and Njai. So maybe he's a little bit, do I stay or do I go?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the thoughts are going forward. But Man U might be a slightly different case with it being away from home Monday night. They have a very distinct shape and tactics that I think we'll have to sit down, and the technical team at Everton will sit down and look at that and see who's appropriate to deal with the Mbeumo and Cunha inside, because Everton struggle when players getting in behind the fullback and the centre back. It particularly like at the likes of Iwobi running in behind those spaces. Nobody knows who to pick them up, how to pick them up. Casemiro's done that quite a bit. They've got Bruno. They've got players who will do that, and we're going to have to review that and see who plays. But it seemed to be more the
risk for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the Mikalenko side that seemed to be actually more affected today.
Yeah, and then I noticed that too. That was who was on their right side? That wasn't Iwobi as much. That was probably more Harry Wilson, but he got subbed at half time, so that even according to their own manager, they didn't, Marco Silva, they didn't think that Harry Wilson was making much of an impact. But it was a little bit more emphasis once King came on.
Fulham were there for the taking, weren't they? They
Yep.
seem to have dropped off a level since we played them last season. They're obviously missing Robinson at the moment, but there's just something about them. They're not quite, as you said, they're a bit toothless. They can obviously move the ball quite well, and they kept it for 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, but without looking a massive threat. I suppose only in the second half there was a sort of 10-minute point where we did look under the ropes, and you were worried we would do what we did against Sunderland and sit back, but gladly we didn't, because we looked effective when we kept the pressure up, at least in the mid block. But pressing them in, they looked like they would give the ball away around the back, and they did a few times, and we were unlucky.
Yeah, and I think we're getting comments like we could have got 4 goals today. In a sense, at least they were in the back of the net. It was up to the referee to tell us it wasn't a goal, right? So we are building that confidence up, because we have not got the ball into the. Yes, they don't count, but the fact that we beat Fulham, and there was and it's marginal in these situations, we effectively got into their net 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
We haven't seen that from right. Who's counting at some point with what offside you want to include, right? But that many opportunities that were actually, you beat Fulham, and it was a marginal goal scoring decision that the referee and the linesman called, and I think many of them were correct, but they were very marginal, right? So we're saying we get into that position where we are higher up the pitch. There have been many a time where we say we had 1 shot on target in games and over the last couple of seasons. So getting just back to this is refreshing. I don't want to say we're back or anything. I don't want to be that arrogant, because I don't think we were fully on all cylinders, but we could hardly run the ball into the net at times, but we were pressing, we were pushing, and you guys, you and everyone that went to the match probably felt that too. And there's an expectation very quickly to demand things from the future results, like from Gaspipe here.
Yeah, we were aggressive, and we seemed to play well and move the ball well without really creating hatfuls of clear-cut opportunities. Obviously, we had the ball in the back of the net. It's a good sign, but the first couple did look offside, particularly the first one. It was at the other end for us. Did that third offside goal, what's the story there? Have you discussed that with Steve? Because it was down by us, and we didn't think Barry got involved in the actual goal, but it's apparently in the lead up.
The coverage on air was not very conclusive at all. So I was thinking this doesn't make sense, but the referee seemed very sure of it, and everyone said move on, and I just kind of eye rolled and went, okay, that's weird. And then I was messaging Wes and Ryan, and none of us made any sense of it. I was trying to say, what is the defensible case for the referee? The only explanation was Barry, but he was around, but I'm pretty sure he got pushed by the Fulham person.
Yeah, that's what Ryan said.
Then that's kind of foul someone, then to be offside, then it's your fault for being offside. No, that's a foul.
It gave me like Sigurdsson vibes at Man U when he kind of was obstructing but not involved. Like, if he doesn't get involved, is it? I don't know. Is it then subjective, and then the ref should go to the screen? Why didn't he go to the screen?
Yeah. Well, in other words, they only go to the screen if they're going to overturn it. Or it's almost like in a work environment where there's like a really sensitive HR conversation. It's like, mate, come over here. We have to talk in private, and then it's like, okay, we'll change the result quickly.
But I think the linesman gave it.
Yep. So the linesman gave it, and because they deemed his interpretation correct, they didn't send him to the monitor because VAR agreed with the linesman's decision. I think that's what happened. And then they just
obviously the linesman's looking at it from the side and can't really see the angle of playing in the box. I don't know. I think I'd like to see the ref review it without feeling like he has to give it or not give it. But that's the way the VAR's gone.
Yep. So I'm not sure where Essa / maybe is what you go by. is mentioned in here, but the
He's meant to
coverage
recommend a
that I
review.
had over in Australia, it was a lot of the coverage was really poor, where they would just actually be following the Burnley West Ham match, and it was quite frustrating for us to watch, where they were just interrupting. But if we're going back to the game here, yes, we controlled. We felt quite comfortable. They were a little bit toothless. James Garner had a huge influence. Keenan Dewsbury Hall seemed to have stepped up today. Eric Boonham, at times, he was there, but he didn't seem to be. He was more of a passenger, but was part of the pressing unit. I like to see, or I like seeing Merlin roll as well, and I think it was kind of clear that he didn't always fully link up and feel at the pace of play with the rest of the squad. But you could see very quickly when he was chasing and going up the pitch, he was winning the ball in really good locations. So to me, it was really exciting to see him on there, and I want to see more of him. But I kind of see why he wasn't starting if he wasn't fully linking up and at the speed of how Everton are playing going forward. But I really want to see more of him, and I think he's our future.
He's very exciting, isn't he? And he moves. He just glides around the pitch, like a couple of strides, and he's over there, like so quick. We need someone like that, dynamic midfielder.
Yep.
Ryan's looking at me now. I don't know.
Substitution.
Are you
You want to
coming
talk
on?
about substitutions?
Until
All
he
right. So,
what do you
is
want?
Ryan subbed in?
I don't know. Hang on. What's he doing to me?
Should I put some music on while you guys figure stuff out?
Yeah. I'll. You might not see me now. Just.
All right. Comedy aside, they're they're getting themselves set up, but honestly, there's not too much more I want to say. It's 1:45 in the morning here, but if Ryan wants to chat briefly, I'm happy to entertain that before I close out. What are you guys doing over there? We have a midnight lurker with maybe a face coming through. There we go. There he is. Headphones are on.
Hello.
He's here
Chris,
from the
I know it's so
helicopter.
late. I know it's really late, so feel free to drop. All I want to say is this was a convincing performance, and it helped really to have the striker and the number 10 linking up and really pressing, and that willingness to press Fulham made a big difference in this game. Also, the link-up play. Players not being as isolated, being able to progress the ball up the pitch a little bit easier because James Garner is a lot more comfortable on the ball and is also willing to drift in off the right, almost like the role that you see a lot in Europe now, where the fullback is actually a midfielder in possession.
That's what I was saying. The inverting, yeah,
the inverting, yeah. So really, really happy with that. Some strong performances: Dewsbury Hall, Barry, Garner, just a gay. Particularly Merlin Roll when he came on. Other than that, I don't think Fulham threatened us. I think Everton would like to have taken more shots on target and tested the goalie, get Grealish more in goal-scoring opportunities and Jai more involved. But I think it's a convincing performance, a fully deserved result. A little bit debating on that third goal. I don't think he interferes with the play. I don't think he makes any difference.
Yeah,
and it should have been 3-0. But other than that, I'm leaving satisfied. And Chris, I know you're exhausted, so you like to close the show?
Yeah, a convincing performance. We wanted a response. We got one. Now we just need to avoid offsides next week, and at that point, it's then I think we're fully set for a hopefully a competitive result against an informed United right now. So
I'm going, and I'm not expecting an awful lot, but I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, we haven't had good success there, so that's what I'm saying. Competitive, even if we're playing a bit better. United is starting to get up there in form too, so we'll see how it goes. But I'm sure we'll do a preview maybe Thursday or Friday night, and then until next time,
Yeah.
up the Toffees.
See you soon. See you, Chris.